calling the meeting order. It is 6 o'clock. First thing we have welcome introductions. Do you want to introduce yourself, or do you want us to introduce ourselves, or what do you want?
I'm Tim Brinson, and new to the board. And I'm actually originally from Indiana, moved away 40 years ago, grew up on a small farm out in Whitehall, and moved away, joined the Air Force, was a gunner on a nuclear-armed B-52 bomber until my job ended with the Cold War. Became a police officer in Pasadena, Texas. Did that for 25 years, 20 of those years in child sexual abuse and child sexual exploitation. And retired from doing that, moved to Bellingham, Washington. And the perfect house came up for sale in Bloomington, and here I am back after 40 years.
Maybe go around the room. I don't know if you know everybody, but let's, at least for those who are here, why don't we do some introductions? They don't need to be super long, but quick name and what you do. And
Can we just start right? Go ahead. I'm Phil Emerson. I'm retired in higher education and a pastor.
John Berida with IU Ventures.
Ryan Pedigo.
Scott Odle.
Max Litton, Deputy Chief of the Fire.
Tanya Dapper, an Assistant Chief.
Sergeant Kerr, Chief of Fire.
And I'm Barb McKinney. I worked for City Legal Department for quite a while. I'm retired.
And you've met us.
Yep, so I met you.
That's quick and easy. Excellent. Welcome aboard.
We're glad you're here. The next thing is certification of executive session, which just means I need to sign that we just had executive session. So I won't get yelled at.
Does she need to
Yeah.
state the official?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's read the conflict of interest and then the certification
Not
of
on the agenda.
executive. I know it's
Okay,
not.
this is something we have to read every month. If any board member has any personal or financial conflict with any issues or individuals on the agenda, then please be sure to recuse yourself during these portions of the meeting. Is that an issue for anybody? Now I'll read the statement about certification of executive session. The board held an executive session on August 20th, 2024 for the sole purpose of receiving information about prospective employees and current employees. No other topics were discussed and no final board actions were taken. Excuse me. And we'll go on to consent agenda. The consent agenda for this evening contains the following items: approval of minutes from the July 15, 2024 special session, approval of payroll for the periods of July 26th and August 9th, and approval of claims for the periods of August 2nd and August 16th. Does any member of the board want to have any of these items removed from the consent agenda to be discussed separately? Hearing none, does anyone have any objections to any of the items on the consent agenda? Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the fire department. Or do we should do this, I'm sorry. I'm going to do, don't coincide well. Let's go to police department business, excuse me.
This is our statistical report from last month. You can see our calls for service are just a tick down, not rare for how things progress for us. Our calls are still up quite a bit from 2022 and with on pace where we were 2023. So nothing there. Definitely going to pick up in the next few days. To date, you can see where we're at as far as our crime index and crime totals. If you've got questions specific, we can answer some of them. A lot of the ones from 2024 will still be pending criminal cases, so there's not a lot we can discuss with that in an open session. Traffic stops continue to go up. Again, this is part of the effort where we talk about trying to get some of our crime statistics down and interdict some of the violent crime. It did have some success last year and continues to do so, and we continue to see progress out of that effort. Weapons calls continue to fall. Again, would attribute a lot of that back to some of the traffic enforcement, some of the other efforts we've got going on. Still, the number at that number level concerns us, but it's definitely trending downward somewhat. Arrests, again, we've talked about this before. They're so unpredictable year to year. There's no sharp increase, no sharp decrease. As you'll see, last year there was 185. This year there's been 202. We'll see what we turn up with at the year in the aggregate in the end, but traditionally they stay within normal bounds. Juvenile referrals, again, they were down from last year. That could have been last year. We had a series of juvenile arrests for whatever Again, this year, we trending to about where we usually see it in July. This is not the end of a hate crime reporting period. We're in the middle of that, although you can see we had 0 between April and June. They're quarterly, so you won't see the next real report until October, which will encompass July to September. The nuisance calls for service, again, we could pretty much substitute last month's graph for this one, and you'd see the same thing. The majority of them are disturbances, then you have intoxication and some vandalism calls. Again, a lot of these, as we've talked about before, mimic each other, because traditionally you have intoxications with disturbances, and you have vandalisms with intoxication. So you see all these things kind of wrapped into one. Training for this month, 522 hours. We had 27 officers attend the 8-hour TRASER operator course. 2 officers went to what's called Desert Snow. It's a drug interdiction course. 3 officers went to basic SWAT school, and then CERT SWAT had 12 officers, 19 hours each, and K-9 training had 17 hours. Community engagement, there were 51 total events this month, 30.4 hours involved. It seems kind of backwards, I get it, but some are 15, 20 minutes at a time. 57 personnel involved. We had back to school events at the Reserve at Chandler's Glen, Boys and Girls Club summer camp presentation. Our community service specialist did bike outreach, index outreach and public education, and our daily downtown resource officer meetings with the local service providers. Upcoming, we already missed National Night Out. That went over very, very well. We had a bunch of different agencies involved, and several hundred people showed up for that.
Yeah, I think we handed out, what did Lucas say, something like 300 hot dogs and 250 cheeseburgers, I think, and so it was a big event. This year was a little bit different. As Deputy Chief mentioned, we went ahead and we invited the Sheriff's Office, IUPD, City Fire, Monroe Fire, and Lifeline brought a helicopter, so we had several different agencies represented there. And I think it definitely helped with some good attendance. Got to feed some kids. They got to crawl around on some police stuff and fire stuff and see some things, so I think it really went well.
Pretty neat. Forever Friends, which is a partnership with the local animal shelter, featured the animals that are up for adoption on our websites. Be a Hero Touch a Truck at Chick-fil-A, that's come and gone, that was very well done. And then we've got a detective presentation of the Philanthropic Educational Organization meeting. Sorry, I don't have the exact date on that one. Police social workers, 24 referrals for the month, new referrals, 330 ongoing contacts. See some of their summaries here, which is they assisted a client getting new medications for a psychiatric medication, getting a new prescriber for those. Assisted a military veteran with getting some health care. Worked with the county veteran service officer and Department of Veterans Affairs. And they assisted a client for accessing treatment for substance abuse disorder outside Monroe County. They spent a lot of time with several contacts. I know they got one contact they're spending daily contact with him. One client they're spending daily contact with, sorry.
I would probably anticipate seeing those numbers go up a little bit. We just hired a new, she's not technically a social worker. I'm sorry, it slips me what her degree is in, but so she's not technically a social worker, but she is a mental health specialist. So we just hired another one. So usually, obviously, when we're back up to 3, those numbers will probably increase.
Yeah. As far as appreciation this week, this month, one of the community service specialists, actually a brand new one, had only been out on his own for a while, stopped and helped a distressed elderly lady, had a blown out tire in the bus lane down Hillside and Woodlawn, a very busy street. He got there pretty quickly, used his vehicle to protect her and her vehicle, and helped change the tire during the rainstorm. Now we're back to general business. As far as general business, we continue to work with the budget with the administration. That'll be going to council soon. And I think that's about it. You won't see any large expenditures this month. You'll see some coming through next month, and we'll kind of inform you about what those are at the time. But they're constructing a parking lot and a training facility down at our range complex. The parking lot is for electric vehicles because they can't be put in a structure, because if we're holding them as evidence, oftentimes it's after a crash, and sometimes they spontaneously combust some 12 to 14 hours later, so they can't go in a structure. So no one in the county had an evidentiary area for that, so we had some money we had set aside for a parking lot, and it seemed like a good use thereof. So you may see something on that before we get to next meeting, but probably not. Anything else?
Where is that lot, in south?
Do you know where the range is, the range complex?
Yeah.
All built in same lots. That we have the range and fire training tower. Then we have a building up on the hill we call the annex, right next to where fire's getting ready to build their logistics facility. And right in the middle of that, we had an area that was level enough that we could build a 40 by 30 area that would enhance the area and help us what we needed to do.
Thanks.
So, we talked a little bit about purchases and procurements. Those are about the only things you're going to see. And then that brings us down to personnel for Captain Ryan, or Captain Pedigo.
Current staffing is 89 out of 105, so we are 16 short. We have 2 that are in the FTO program, should hopefully get out fairly soon, and we have 5 that go to the academy starting on Monday. So they'll be gone until mid-December at the Law Enforcement Academy. Unfortunately, we do have 4 currently on extended sick or injury leave, and 1 on extended military leave as well. So staffing remains something that is obviously of concern. We do have 2 that I just, that Barbara signed off on for me last week, that I've mailed their final paperwork into the state, so they should be probably onboarding within the next 4 to 5 weeks, depending upon when I hear back from the state, and get their approval, and then give them time to give their current employer appropriate notice of that they're leaving. One of those is a certified officer, and 1 is not. Right now, I'm kind of holding off on holding a hiring process until we see what happens with the budget. The mayor has indicated that she wishes to open the contract to discuss salaries with the union, so we're kind of full in our training program right now anyway with the ones that we have currently in it, so I'm just kind of holding off until we see what those numbers might come out of as we go into budget season here. My budget kind of has dominated everything for the past couple of weeks, so that's kind of where we are with that.
Okay. CERT ARV deployment, none other activity this month required the use of the ARV. You.
Thank you. Any questions about police department business? We can move on to fire department business.
This is our year-to-date totals, 3,400, almost 3,500 responses. You see the majority of them are in the city. Our IU responses, false alarms, continue to be the highest, and they will continue to stay the highest. Response heat map, these are all the runs just for July, so the locations. So you don't really have any, there are a couple red spots, but that's where we're going most often. Response times, like I said, doing well there. Out of 105 or 185, we're looking, 106, well under the 240 seconds arrival time on a fire call. So it's public engagement and prevention. So inspection goals, they have already met their goal for this year, and it's actually they even increased it already from last year. Last year it was 1,600, now it's 1,850, and they met that goal, and that's last year was the first time they had ever done that. So adults educated for the last 2 years, you can kind of see where we're at with that, and children, and then the visits for schools. Training, the green line's where we want to be. Top line for July, that's where we are right now. John Summerlot from Indiana University Emergency Management came in and did department-wide the search and rescue. So that's just the basics on, not like fire search, but someone just out in the wilderness or, wandering off because they're dementia or anything like that. 2 personnel went to their rope operations and technician level classes. We had somebody go to a cruise, went to Duke Energy for live wire safety, and then we started the gentleman that you guys approved last meeting, right? He got assigned a red shift and he did his training during July.
What are is there a black shift and a green shift and?
There's red, black, and gold.
Red, black, and gold?
Yes.
Those are just time slots that you?
That's what we've historically called them. It was, once upon a time, we got Budweiser calendars, and they designated the shifts every third day. Red, gold, black. We call them ABC, 1, 2, 3. It's just, but other calendars are red, green, and black, or whatever. So, but we those of us who work gold shift, we always said that gold was A1, right, Gene? And they go for that. So,
Thank you.
but that's how they did it. So, we can't make this up. For our mobile integrated healthcare, these are their statistics for the month. They did not graduate anyone this month, which is unusual. The average visit per client is 8.6, which is slightly down from last month. 36 services engaged, 36 different agencies were involved in those. Referring agencies are 3. Most of that is from the fire department, they're internal referrals, but we do have external agencies referring inward. We did get a $75,000 grant from IDHS, for which Chief Litwin is very glad, because one of them will be a vehicle for the new team members that we're going to hire later this year. We did have a patient who had a traumatic brain injury. At one point, he kept getting trespassing charges, but he was a medical issue, but he's got all his criminal charges dismissed. An ill patient, like I said, he was referred to MIH, and now that he can take care of himself, and now he's happy, much happier than when he was before. And then we have another one. They said a patient had an offer accepted on a new residence, so it's safer for everyone involved, for them, for the patient, for the family, and for the crews who were responding there on a regular basis. So, and they said they've already been in and done their safety check on the new home, so those are excellent. So, things. Any questions regarding?
Impressive.
So we're very happy with that. So, general business, is this where we do this section? We just, that's you.
Sure. Yeah, general business, we've been fairly dominated by budget-related items also, so that's what we've been working on. It's gone very well. We're looking forward to presenting it next week, and hopefully everything goes smoothly with that as well. As far as purchases, we were finally able to secure the UTV that's been on order for quite a while.
UTV is?
It's like an ATV, like an all-terrain vehicle
Okay.
that we can outfit with fire suppression or EMS equipment. We had 2 of them, and fresh off the line in usage, a tree fell on one while being used, so it could have been much worse than it was. There's an insurance claim, and we finally were able to get it back. So you'll see that money spent on that, but it ultimately was a result of the insurance money that was waiting for it. Other than that, you'll just see some miscellaneous purchases related to our ongoing bond projects, just kind of outfitting those stations and the fire suite.
Roughly, what's the budget request that you'll be submitting?
In total, it'd be just over 20 million.
20 million?
Yes, sir.
And what's, just out of curiosity, what's?
Somewhere in the 24 million area.
24 range? Thanks.
And how big an increase is that from this year?
It all depends on what kind of personnel raises the mayor's office chooses to pursue.
Right.
Other than that, our budget remains flat from last year, so no new projects, no new anything else. We're trying to get everything back to staffing
Are they
levels.
looking at like 5%, or do you know?
Honestly, don't know. I mean, there's been talk of a bunch of different connotations, and I'd really hate to steal their thunder by putting out there what they're thinking currently.
Don't want you to do that.
Yeah.
And my answer also is dependent on some of the category 1 items. The contract's out to vote right now, so the numbers that are plugged in would be as if that moved forward.
That's helpful. You could have said 5 million and I would have had no idea. So 20 to 30-ish rough stuff is.
Roughly, our budgets are about the same, but we have dispatch as part of our budget, which accounts for the difference.
Thanks, guys.
As far as personnel,
I think that's for me to do. So this is just voting on the people we talked about executive session. And we discussed Justin Webb. Can I get a motion to promote Justin Webb to the rank of chauffeur effective August 5th, 2024?
Move to promote.
Can I get a second?
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. The motion carries. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Can I get a motion for a conditional offer of employment to Judson Garvin contingent upon the successful completion of all steps required in the hiring
last
process? I'm sorry.
No way.
Justin Garvin was last one.
Justin,
Justin Brommer, I'm sorry, I didn't
Oh.
update the name down there.
okay.
Yeah.
Justin
Correction, sorry.
Justin Brosmer.
Yeah, it's like-
Okay, we were not talking about Judson. That sounded familiar when I said it. We were talking about Justin Brosmer. Same thing, though. Can I get a motion to approve him contingent upon all the, completing all the steps required in the hiring process?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Okay, now I got the right name here, okay. Can I get a motion for a conditional offer of employment to Robert, I never can say his last name.
Levisik.
Levisik, contingent upon the successful completion of all steps required in the hiring process.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No, the motion carries. I'm gonna need help with this name, too.
Kirichenko.
Yeah.
Can I get a motion for conditional employment of offer employment to Luke Kirichenko,
Kirichenko.
contingent upon the successful completion of all steps required in the hiring process?
Yep.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Can I get a motion for conditional offer employment to Diego Alinas, contingent upon the successful completion of all steps required in the hiring process?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. The motion carries. Can I get a motion for conditional offer employment to Clarence Darson, contingent upon the successful completion of all steps required in the hiring process?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Okay.
Nobody cares what you write. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. And finally, can I get a motion for conditional offer employment to Tanner Wood contingent upon the successful completion of all steps required in the hiring process?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Yay. Thank you. Any old business?
I'll just offer a quick current update on our personnel status on the department. We currently have 4 vacancies, of which you see now we have personnel slated to fill, and we have 3 individuals on light duty. We have no long-term illnesses or injuries currently.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other old business? Any new business? Any communication from the public? Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.